Hello there and welcome to Film Crack, our companion episode to our 50th anniversary literary as Feck episode, where we discussed two books by B. Traven, Rebellion of the Hanged and The Bridge in the Jungle, and Time's a Wasting. So
yes,
we want
so
to
we would love you
about
go.
those.
Yep.
Yes, go over and watch where we're wearing the same clothes.
Yes,
talking about
you have no idea how much it cost us to do the CGI involved and to kind of recreate the scenes from that previous episode. It was no labor was
I'm actually on the beach in Acapulco at the moment.
Right, he's on a soundstage that they built to make it look like he's back in
as that fantastic song goes, I'm going loco down in Acapulco. Who sang that? That's a shit song.
I don't know who sang that.
I always remember it's on the sound. Here's an interesting there's like films that are huge when they're brand new.
Yes.
Then
completely
about that
disappear.
film. Here's a good example, maybe not in North America, but in the UK. Do you remember the film Buster? Where Phil Collins plays one of the train robbers?
Yes.
Huge film when it was.
Yeah, no, you're right. It was a smash hit, and then
and I haven't thought about that film for since it was new.
It's like I suppose the equivalent of a one-hit wonder for a band, massively successful, and then.
But then the one-hit wonders turn up.
But yeah, they do. They have a life past there. Yeah, whereas this just.
But I suspect Buster isn't much watched anymore, which is probably a good thing. And it's got that horrible song in it.
But that's nice because Acapulco is, of course, where our friend B. Traven or Traven or B. Traven Torsvan or Hal Croves or Rhett Marot or Steve Jenkins or any of the other 20 million.
Humphrey Humbert.
Yes, exactly. Lived. He actually lived in Acapulco for a while anyway. But yes, for lots of information about who B. Traven Torsvan is, go check out the other podcasts. We're just going to deal with these two films based on two of his books. What order are we going to do the movies in? The same as we did the.
I think so. We'll rattle through these. We'll do the films chronologically. Yeah. So Rebellion of the Hanged. 19. Oh, I didn't write this down.
Okay. 50. Give me a second. 54.
Maybe. Oh, 54. 54. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Interestingly as well, something that I probably would have noticed, but because I had just watched the B. Traven doc. Interesting. The screenplay is by Hal Croves.
Yes, and it comes up. It does come up to the screen. Because I knew who that was.
Yes,
I noticed it right away. I was like, oh, okay.
So there we go. I guess he did the screenplay for this as well, which
as they mentioned,
the book.
I think this is when you're talking to his wife. I think specifically this one she's talking about, where he was like, I always thought it was weird how when Hal would adapt the novels of B. Traven, he wouldn't actually look in the novels. He would just sit down and type the script entirely from memory. And she was like, that seemed like a giveaway.
Right. And this is very close to the book. Apparently, so officially the screen credit is Alfredo B. Craic, who was very prolific, kind of bit of a hack, I suppose, of all trades, did all sorts of things. But apparently uncredited co-direction by El Indio, right? Emilio Fernandez.
Oh, yes.
Right. Who's not in it.
Yes, which is a disappointment. He should be.
Yes, and I thought he was in every film ever made in Mexico, but apparently not.
If Hugo Stiglitz wasn't there, I guess.
Right. So here we go. Is this like the what is it? Who is it? Is it Harry Dean Stanton and who's the other one? He had a rule, right? Dead Russ Meyer, Siskel, Roger Ebert had the Harry Dean Stanton and who was it rule? Like if one of the other was in the film,
Emmett, what's his face?
No, not Emmett Walsh. I can't remember
He was a huge fan.
It might have been your man.
Warren Oates.
No, I couldn't
Okay.
remember notes. Or anyway, this has got fuck all to do with it. So let's
Okay.
let's move on. I thought we could do the
wait, we didn't even finish. So what if one of them was whoever the other one was, if they were in a movie?
Fernandez Stiglitz rule.
Okay, all right. So it's one or the other.
Yes.
Okay, every movie has one of them or the other.
Okay.
Gene Hackman then. So
right. That was a terrible digression. I'm even tempted to edit that out, but I can't because that's like hard work. So
yes, yeah.
So yes, here we go. Yeah. So for the plot, LAF 50. But basically it's about some indigenous Indians getting tricked into working in a mahogany plantation, and it's all very, very horrible. And
yes,
doing sketchy Nick. You were doing.
I was just waving at my wife. We just came on.
Welcome home.
So yeah. Basically, the plot pretty much plays out. It's very actually faithful. I would say the only big difference I felt was that the villains are given a bit less, which I might have mentioned. The other thing, I feel like the villains are a bit more one note. They're just awful, giggling, rapey, like racist. Like there's just, which they to some degree are, but they're just so like Fernando Sancho would certainly have played all three of them if this thing had been made as a spaghetti western. But
it's interesting. I was trying to think about when this film was new, and I can see how it might have been a pretty hard hitting kind of chemical film in 1954. But watching it now, it just comes across as a bit more of a kind of turgid melodrama, really, doesn't it? Like it doesn't really. It's not a bad watch necessarily, but it hasn't aged well because it doesn't have much of interest beyond that kind of shock value story. In some ways, you could argue maybe the book as well, actually. Like, although
some of the failings of the book are the failings of the screenplay as well.
Yeah, which isn't surprising because it's the same fella, right?
Yes, and I do think too, like for a lot of it, like as I said, I was reading a review of it where somebody did call it misery porn. And there is an element of truth there. It's also true that it was very difficult for indigenous people to stand up for their rights and not just be murdered or tortured, right? So that is kind of, but it does like the first 2/3 of it is just really them getting a really hard time. And then we do. So then, so there is a revenge payoff thing, and it does happen here as well. And one thing we didn't really talk about when we talk about the book, but one of the most dramatic points of the whole story is when finally the lead villain, the worst of the scumbags who runs this place, cuts off the kid's ear, right? And then when he finally is confronted by all of the men, the sister walks up and she's the one who forgives him for all of his transgressions, except for you mutilated this child.
Right, as played in the film by Ariadne Weltz, who later on actually went on to be one of the Panther women in that Los Luchadores adventure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, she's good in that, but the thing is, they're all called upon to be very sort of like beaten down and put upon and not have a lot of spirit in a way until
to be honest, she looks a little bit too glamorous, really. She doesn't look like she's having that hard of a time in the jungle. There's like apparently there's obviously some kind of makeup counter somewhere in the mahogany, because she always looks pretty stunning.
Yes, I will say that, and I also felt that way actually about the way that the women of the camp, because we didn't talk about it when we talked about the book actually, but there are these women.
Why would we do that?
Who are sort of like hookery kind of types, like it seems, right? They're certainly
Well,
very
I
much.
suppose they'd have to. They exist in the environment in the way that they would have to be kept around, right, and not just thrown in the river or left to starve
But
or
they
whatever.
sound way more haggard in the book.
Oh,
like
yeah,
most
yeah.
of them, you know, like they're just like they're absolutely like kind of toothless and kind of like screeching, you know. And then in the movie, the one that we really see is like also like pretty good looking, you know.
Yeah,
like
I said, it's Ariadne Welzer. It's not like Shelley Winters or someone, right? It's
yes.
No offense to Shelley Winters.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
Shelley Winters did at a certain point in her career, she did specialize in playing that sort of character,
totally.
right? Like Lolita's mother, for example. I think is probably the start of her career doing that kind of part, right? Yeah, so yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I don't know how much I have to say about it really. It's
I did like.
I wouldn't go out of your way, because you do have to go out of your way, because this is
it's not easy to find.
so we are talking films that well, we watched something that had been grabbed off the MGM channel somewhere, right? At some point.
Yeah, and it looks like some years back.
Yeah, it's SD, it's not HD.
It's not even that clear a print. But I mean, I will say I did like seeing certain things. Like again, they obviously it's shot in a mahogany forest. So again, not having had a sense of what that really looked like until I saw the film, it all became clear to me.
Well, one scene that I thought they fucked up a little bit in the film version of it was the family drowning in the river, because that river in the film looks very calm. It looks like you'd have to jump in with lead weights in your feet to actually drown. Plus, in the book, it seems very reasonable. The dad's like, "Senor, I don't want to go in the boat with a drunken man because, yes, that's right. It's Speedy Gonzales."
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So, and in the book, he's dead, right, and the family drowns, and that's fine. But in the film version,
he gets in a fist fight with the guy.
Yeah, the thing is that the dude riding the boat is drunk, but just leave him alone. But no, in the film, he picks up his bottle and throws it in the river in front of him, and you're thinking, "You've done this. You killed your family. It's your fault."
Agreed. That was a weird.
That was kind of a weird kind of flipping of that whole. Just you. It was like, And yeah, the river just looks, it's almost like a swimming pool. Even though it's on location, it looks very placid, difficult to drown in.
I did enjoy all the scenes of, again, because I like seeing people work for some reason, all the scenes of them chopping the shit out of
this pig. To see
the sweat of the working man.
Heel.
I drink the sweat of the working man.
Well, earlier I saw you drinking. I believe that was actually the blood of children, right? That you were.
Oh, this. I think this is.
There we go.
I think this is Campari, with some.
I don't know. It's. It's Illuminati special.
But interestingly enough, the movie doesn't lose sight of our protagonist, Candido. Like he's there beginning, middle, and end. Whereas,
but I think that's probably just a byproduct of the format, right? It's very difficult to lose someone on screen as it is in the pages, right? So
true enough.
So that so if we're done with that, I was going to say so the screen version of this, I thought, didn't quite live up to what I imagined that hellish mangrove swamp. Although the scenes of the hanging are quite, they're quite, however, if we're going to go jump forward to the bridge in the jungle, by comparison, I thought they really pulled off. I mean, this looks like what I imagined when I was.
We should mention that there is a second adaptation of Rebellion of the Hanged that I can't find anywhere. It was made in the 80s by like Buñuel's son.
Yeah, co-wrote it, right? I don't think he directed it, but or did he?
Okay, I think he might have directed it too.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I mean, Google it. I could be wrong. But yeah, but in any case, I would love to see that, just to see how different or the same it is. And
no, I will not Google it. I'm going to go to my independent workers, citizens of the world search engine, which is crap, and you can't find anything on it. But you do at least feel as if you're not kowtowing
right,
the man.
Perfect. Anyhow, so yes, there was
also,
another.
Sorry, I was going to say also, apparently in like 1960, 1961, Jess Franco almost directed a version of Rebellion of the Hanged, but instead made Awful Dr. Orloff.
Okay.
I'd be curious to see what a Jess Franco
Me too.
Rebellion of the Hanged.
I bet he would have definitely had.
I bet he's become Jess Franco yet, right?
Yeah, oh right, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. If it was filmed like 10, 15 years later, of course, yeah. It would have been Rebellion of the Hanged as filmed in a hotel in Lisbon, which they were staying at. And Lena Remay would have had zoom up close-ups of her lady.
Yes, she was smoking cigarettes with her butthole. Yeah. But anyway.
Rebellion of the smoking bungholes. Yes. See, now I want to see that. That sounds awesome. So anyway.
So Bridge in the Jungle.
Bridge in the Jungle, as directed, written, produced by Pancho Conner.
Yes.
Who, the name jumped out at me, and I was like, why do I know that name? And he ended up producing like a whole string of Charles Bronson films.
Oh.
Through the 70s and 80s, which is why I knew the name for some reason. So that's how he made his money, because I doubt he made his fortune on this one.
I wouldn't think so, no.
No. So yeah, pretty fucking close to the book. Again, see LAF number 3 for details.
With the exception of that, it kind of has this, it takes its time getting to the town. We have a bit more stuff with, you know, our protagonist, who's barely a character, right? Even in the movie as well. Like, although they give him a little bit more motivation. And what's the stuff about him looking for the killer of his dad?
So it's interesting. In the book, there's actually a whole chapter before he gets where he does bump into Slave, as played by John Huston, earlier, like a year earlier or something.
Yeah.
And then stumbles across him later when he's living. It's by chance, right?
Jungle, so
they decided to put that together. There isn't that kind of core, introductory section. He just meets him while he's in the jungle as an amateur crocodile hunter. And I had to look this up as well, because in the book it's alligators, and in the book it's crocodiles. And I always think of it, if it's Asia, it's crocodiles. If it's America, it's
alligators. Yeah.
But no, apparently there is such a thing as the
Mexican
crocodile.
Okay.
And so in the Americas, you actually do have alligators and crocodiles.
And crocodiles. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I knew that.
No, so it's not
Speaking
wrong.
of that,
not an error.
Some weird words are thrown around in Rebellion of the Hanged as well, like tigers and stuff, that you're like, no, they don't have tigers in. Like, do they mean leopards? And the English.
But is it tiger or tigre? Because I'm not quite sure. Could tigre translate as just a big cat? I don't know.
Maybe.
So he does. Yeah, no, you're right. But he does add that extra stuff about the. It's weird. Are they trying to tie it into Treasure of the Sierra Madre?
Treasure of Sierra Madre. That's what it feels like to me, because of the John Huston. John Huston who killed somebody in a car. You read about this?
That kind of rings a bell.
Yeah, that I had no idea. Apparently, he was a hard drinking guy. He ran over he was involved in multiple car accidents, and then one of them he just killed somebody, and then sort of got away with it.
I mean, if you're attached to the Houston estate and we're wrong, please don't.
Well, I'm fairly well, and then apparently then there was questions about whether or not it wasn't him, that it was Cary Grant, and that he was paid off to take the fall. Anyway, you can Google that.
Yeah, I bet we're misremembering that, and it's someone else, but yes, that does ring a bell as being vaguely true.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe you have more faith in your recollection skills than I do. I don't trust myself.
I was just reading about him recently because of watching
Oh,
films.
okay. I have read an entire book about him, but of course it's in 1 year.
Okay, yeah,
right.
But yeah, I wonder too if they were making that connection between.
Yeah.
Yes.
If so, they didn't go very far with it because, like, after 2 minutes, they totally give up. It's a very odd scene, actually.
Yes. Yeah, the film never. And the only thing I could think was, like, were they kind of just showing in a way that, like, by the end of the film, he's, by being in this place and witnessing this whole thing, and you know, this kid's passing, and the way the community deals with it, does he just realize, like, nah, like, why do I care? Like, he's just, you know, I need to just get over this, whatever this was, this weird obsession with finding a guy called, what was it, Luke, right? He's looking for a guy called Luke.
Yeah, and I don't think it is. I don't think there's a Luke in the Cinema. It was very
weird.
It was an odd little digression for sure, but the rest of it pretty much plays out the same. Little boy falls in the river, dies, and so Charles Robinson is the guy, our main guy, who I didn't know from Adam, I have to admit.
Nope.
And
it's
no, I was gonna say, and the other name people might know, I suppose, is Katie Girardo, right? She plays a dual role. She plays one of the women in the village, and also what's referred to as the witch in the credits, who I guess is that old woman by the riverbank who explains to our main character what's going on with the candle and stuff.
Okay.
Apparently that's a witch. And I noticed as well that they do sing, the children sing a song about La Llorona, right? The legendary crying witch. So I was wondering if they were going to try and tie that up somewhere a little bit along the ways, but no. So I'd be interested in what you think about this film, because I found this film kind of, it was interesting. It was a film, I think, that doesn't benefit from watching straight after having read the book.
No.
Not just because of the familiarity, but it's just, this is the kind of film I can imagine, again, difficult to find, but it's the kind of film I imagine stumbling across on late night television, if it's been a thing anymore, but back in the day, not knowing anything about, and it not being great, but it's sticking with you just for being a very unusual, who would make a film of this? Like, what is the utility of this film?
Yes,
which is a bizarre way to think about art, I know, but it's something that makes sense as a book.
Yeah, because the meandering nature of it, it's, you know, it's fine as a book, and you kind of enjoy spending the time in this community.
As a film, it's a very peculiar film, which in a way endears it to me a little bit, because it is so peculiar, and it's like just under 80 minutes or something. So it
doesn't outstay them. It's good.
So there's something about this film that I kind of, there's something about it, like I would keep it in my little box of cinematic curiosities or something to take out and look at this. You know.
Yeah. Why was this made?
Yeah. But if I'm going to be all film criticky about it, it sure is a weird thing to, like, of all the things you would adapt, like, why?
Yes, and of all of his books, it's the least propulsive, the least kind of, you know, it's odd. I'd also love to see it in a cleaned up print. The one that we have is quite grainy and kind of, I'd really like to see it HD.
Great job of capturing the locale of the book.
Yeah. Which is why I'd like to see it even more clear if I could.
But everything is as kind of dark as it should be, and everything, like the river in this looks like you could fall in it.
Easily and drown. Yes. The bridge looks really dangerous.
And John Huston's great. John Huston is just so well cast.
Yeah.
Oh well, I gotta go look for that cow now, and it's just like everything about him is just
yeah,
it's perfect. But yes, so you have the same kind of feelings, do you, in terms of like, on the one hand, there's something about this film that I quite like. There's something endearing of it. At the same time, is that
yes.
how you felt about it?
Yeah. I can't imagine myself rushing to see it again, but I think I wouldn't be surprised
can't imagine watching it again. Oddly,
but I can imagine seeing it at least one more time before I die. I suspect, I'll probably at some point try to watch, because there are a few other Traven adaptations kind of floating out there. In fact, you sent me a link to one that I haven't had a chance to look at yet. But
yes,
another
on YouTube, which was a nomination for Best Foreign Film Oscar as well, I think. For
okay, so yeah, definitely something I'll be interested in seeing. Yeah. So anyway, weird movie. I think that was what we ultimately decided, right?
Weird, very strange film, which I guess we both not quite sure if we like or not, really. I mean, I certainly don't dislike it.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it was weirdly like it was pleasant to spend the time in that village with those
pleasant as
folks.
a film about a child falling in a river and dying.
It's going to be,
To be honest, at the beginning of the film, I suspected I wouldn't like it because there's a lot of scenes of like children happily running around while adults look on and laugh in that way, while there's whimsical flutes on the soundtrack.
Right.
And that bit, I thought, oh no, this is gonna be, sentimental.
At the same point, that little kid, I was like, yeah, no, that kind of hyperactive little guy, he is gonna die. Just as soon as he was like just a ball of like mad energy running around punching people, and like I was like, no, he needs proper supervision, that kid, or he's gonna get in serious trouble. I saw it even more in the movie than I probably did while reading the book.
It's interesting as well because at the beginning of the film, you see the kids like diving off the bridge into the river and stuff, and I thought, oh no, have they fucked this up like they did the scenes of Rebellion of the Hanged, where the river is totally non-threatening?
Right.
But actually, no, it has to be said, once darkness falls, that river does just immediately look more treacherous somehow. Yeah.
Just becomes black ink.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
so it's an odd, it's a very, I mean, it's certainly not, I mean, if you're going by the Houston connection, don't expect Treasure the Sierra Madre Electric Boogaloo. It's very different. But it is one of those, oddly enough, it's one of those films that I don't know, I feel it'll actually stay with me a little bit just because it is such a, it's like something that sticks in your craw or something. Like it's not, it doesn't quite go down right.
And what is it about the 70s? Like, and like this is an MGM film, but like I'm sure there has to be like underage nudity in this thing. It sure seemed that way to me. And that's always weird to me that the 70s was just kind of like, sure, whatever, in like fairly big budgeted things. Just a weird, you could get away with that stuff now. Unless I'm wrong.
I can't imagine this film being made at all. There's everything about it is
you're right. So 70s.
That combination of like, again, not a big budget movie by any means, but because it's it's a proper film that's been shot on film. It has proper production values, location work. So it's to a certain degree, it's a big creative endeavor around this little story. That's a very 70s thing as well, I feel.
Yes.
That strange juxtaposition of like a proper film, but very
low stakes. In a way. Although it's not. It's it's also the biggest stakes imaginable, like the death of a child, right? But there is something very Irish Catholic about that whole thing too, like the way in the book and in the movie, the other mothers are just kind of like, you're gonna lose some of them. Like and it's
inevitable. Yeah,
because I mean,
that's why we keep popping them out, right?
Well, yeah,
yeah.
I'm fairly certain that my granny Sheehan, there's at least 2 or 3 that didn't survive infancy of the 10, and then she had 10, right, that did.
Wow.
And then but there was others, and I think that was just absolutely par for the course back then. That you just not all of them are going to make it, and you just have to resign yourself to that fact.
Did they live next to a big river with a dodgy bridge over it?
I don't. Maybe the Liffey, I think is the Halfpenny Bridge. I don't. Yeah, we could definitely do the Dublin version of this. But anyway,
but it's just I mean, as well, it reminds me of when I was a kid, and I mean,
actually, you know what? Your flash
dangerous shit all the time. The amount of things I did as a kid, where you just one step, wrong step to the left or the right, and
most boys should not survive their childhoods, and I think. But I also think it's funny enough. Like I also remember very clearly the experience of like the flash uncle coming down from Dublin, on his motorbike with like his like motorbike jacket full of sweets, like big bags of like Dolly mixtures and like chocolate eclairs from Cadbury's and stuff, and just being like, and we would be like, hallelujah. And so
thankfully about your childhood, I am convinced you grew up in an issue of the Beano or something like that.
Anyway, it was my Uncle Tony. Anyway, but I'm just glad he didn't bring me any like slippy shoes from Dublin, so that I ended up falling into the Vartree, which was our local river, and getting swept away with a gigantic. I mean, I don't know if this is my childhood memory playing tricks on me, but I swear to God, there was jellyfish in the Vartree that were the size of like dining room tables that would just float down the river and then out to sea, or into the river from the sea. I guess that would be going that way. It would make more sense. But anyway, but it could just be that could be entirely not true. We want to be talking
just in case regales us with any more jellyfish memories. I think we leave it there.
We're done.
Yes,
we're out of here.
You enjoyed this amendment to our Literary as Feck celebrations.
Check out B Traven, people. At least do Death Ship and Truzas.
Or Treasure Madre. I mean, that's probably the easiest to find. I would imagine that's the one in print, right?
That was the thing I wanted to say. It was just that, like, and the Mandela effect is not the word I'm looking for, but like misremembered quotes from movies, right? Treasure of the Sierra Madre probably has the most famous one, because that's not the line apparently.
No,
right? It's not. Yeah, but it's been referred to in.
I can't remember what it actually is now, but it's not.
It's funny to think that it's B Traven, like that. It's been parodied endless times, right?
It's not that. Yeah. It's not Another Fine Mess, and he doesn't say "Play it again, Sam."
Yes. Yeah.
It's Roger.
All right.
Play it again, Roger. He says.
Okay. All right. Anyway,
right.
Badges. We don't need them.
No.